My American History Powtoon topic was the War on Terrorism. It was September 11, 2001 when 4 planes were hijacked and set to attack in the United States. 2 of the planes crashed into the Twin Towers in New York, a third airliner crashed into a section of the Pentagon, and passengers on the 4th plane fought back and the plane fell short of its target and crashed into the countryside of Pennsylvania. The planes were hijacked by 19 Arab terrorists. The Twin Towers crashed to the ground at 10:05 within 2 hours of the terror attack at 8:45, and a wing of the Pentagon was damaged. Over 3,000 people were killed, including the passengers on the planes. There have been over 14,000 attacks since the 1960s. However, these acts on 9/11 are seen as the most destructive terror acts in modern history. Terrorists tend to target high-profile or crowded places and events, for example the Twin Towers and the Pentagon. They primarily use bullets and bombs, but have started to use biological and chemical warfare as another way to kill mass amounts of people. They are willing to kill using any type of weapon and even willing to die to ensure success. The United States determined that a Saudi Arabian millionaire, Osama bin Laden, was responsible for the attacks on 9/11. The terrorists involved, along with bin Laden, were part of the Al-Qaeda terrorist network. The Al-Qaeda is found in Afghanistan and is under the strict Islamic regime called the Taliban. The Taliban supported the Al-Qaeda in turn for fighters. The United States built an alliance to fight the Al-Qaeda network and other terrorist groups. Great Britain played a large role in this alliance. The Taliban refused to hand over bin Laden, so the United States military took action in Afghanistan. The military began bombing Taliban air defenses, command centers, and training camps. However, bin Laden was not captured. President Bush and his administration created Homeland Security in 2002, headed by Tom Ridge, a former governor. This program was designed to analyze threats, prepare response systems to attacks, and guard borders and airports. The Homeland Security Advisory System advised the public of levels of terrorist threats and how to respond to these situations. The American government discovered that the Al-Qaeda had used sleepers to carry out attacks. Sleepers blended into communities and carried out terrorist acts. This resulted in any suspects to be detained and questioned by Homeland Security. Critics claim that holding suspects without hard evidence was against their civil rights, but the government said it was to protect national security. The USA Patriot Act was signed in 2004 and allowed the government to detain suspects for 7 days without charging them with a crime, tap and monitor phones of suspects, make search warrants valid across states, investigate large foreign accounts at banks, and persecute terrorist crimes without any time restrictions. People feared this would invade the privacy of citizens. President Bush signed the Law of Aviation and Transportation Security Act, which made airport security the #1 priority. Airline passengers and carry-on bags were inspected and checked baggage was screened. National Guard troops were placed in airports and bars were placed on cockpit doors to prevent hijackings. Citizens had several concerns involving these security measures. They worried about long delays at airports and invasion of passengers' privacy. The government continues to try and balance national security and civil rights as well as fighting off terrorism.